there. Welcome to Hourglass Workshops and Conversations with Nancy and Cheryl. I'm Nancy Burns. I'm an acupuncturist in San Jose, California.
And I'm Cheryl Seavey. I'm a writer and a blogger in Los Gatos, California.
Yeah, and this is National Women's Month. And so we've been seeing lots of stories about unusual or dramatic or high-achieving women. And we thought we'd talk about that a little bit. Cheryl, who do you admire as a woman that you look up to?
Well, I think if it was women's history and I'm looking at somebody that's not in my direct, presence or my own personal life, I have always really admired Georgia O'Keeffe ever since high school. I've loved her art. I've loved her, just the way she lived her life. I just found it fascinating. She had a sense of adventure where she hopped in a car with a friend back when there were hardly any roads and drove clear across country and lived in in a very small town, could find beauty in obscure things. And then she would use the level of detail, her attention to detail, to make these beautiful big flowers. And I just loved it. And the more I've read about her, I've taken classes about her, and I'm not an artist. So it's odd that would be somebody that when we talked about this, I would go, yeah, that's somebody that I really admired her life and what she did. And she lived a very long, productive life.
Yeah, she really did. I mean, she was still very productive into her 90s.
Yeah.
And
she had a very young boyfriend.
Oh, did she? Woohoo. Okay. She's on my list now. Well, somebody, we were talking about this earlier, and I says, well, one person that I admire a lot is my mom, because she always was such a lady and just from a different time, but the person that probably made a big impact on me very early in life was Florence Nightingale, who at this point in my life, I don't know a ton about her, but it was the very first book I checked out of the library when I was in first grade. And it kind of started my love of biographies, number one, and medicine, number two. So she made a big impact on me, not because of her character or anything, just that, that was my first foray into reading, and it has affected what I've liked the rest of my life, know.
Yeah.
So, which speaks to the fact that you can make an impact on somebody very far removed from what your main purpose may have been.
Right. Right. And you can make an impact on them, like the people you're talking about. It didn't impact you to want to be a nurse.
No.
Nor did Georgia O'Keeffe impact me in wanting to be an artist. But just there were interesting things about that person that intrigued me and triggered me to take classes in art history and go to art museums. I love going to museums and seeing art and whereas the book you read on Florence Nightingale developed your love of reading biographies and just reading in general. And we don't know, I think, sometimes what does trigger, what does leave a lasting impact. What do you think, about a lasting impact that we leave on others?
Well, see, that's interesting, because I don't think that as a general rule, one sees themselves as a role model.
Right.
Now maybe if you're famous and there's a lot of adulation around you, you think, yeah, you have a responsibility to be a role model.
Right.
Whether you started out with that desire or not. But, we can impact people in ways we have no idea.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think definitely. And, like last year, a very good friend and mentor of mine passed away, and he was in his late 80s. And he, and he mentored me on, and he had a great impact on me. And I don't even think he probably didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
But we would go to lunch, and he was the first person that I ever knew that he was telling me he and, 8 guys, they used to meet for mastermind dinners. So
Uh-huh.
fast forward my career umpteen years, and I've had a couple of different mastermind groups. And,
Yeah.
and that was the first time he mentioned that. And he was just a really classy gentleman. And he got me involved in a nonprofit that his mother had actually founded 50 years before.
Really?
Yeah, Friends Outside. She was a Quaker, and she founded this
Oh.
organization in San Jose.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, I had no idea she did that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Oh.
so I don't think he may not have realized the impact, and it was in conversations. And I don't think, well, one, I don't think we always realize the impact that conversations have
Right.
and the impact that we have on other people in unique ways that we would never think.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's something for all of us to think about. Are you leaving the impression that you would like to leave on other people? And if you don't look at yourself as a role model, you might reconsider because people are watching you. I mean, even if it's just your grandchildren, you
Right,
know.
right.
I mean, I look at my one grandma who was so ahead of her time. She didn't mind traveling without her husband, which was quite
Mm.
the
Scandalous.
scandalous thing to do. She didn't care.
Right.
She traveled all over the world because that's what she wanted to do. And I always admired her independent spirit,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So
And so I think to leave our audience, who inspires you, and who's inspired you as a woman, and how do you feel that you're inspiring others? So feel free to send us a comment, post something, like us on YouTube.
yep. Don't forget.
Anyway, until next time, I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Nancy.
Bye now.
Bye.